Dave's supposed to be coming.
Well, he's got scope. He's got scope. So in the 7 o'clock, Wednesday the 10th of June, thank you very much for attending this meeting of the General Council, Oakham Town Council. Welcome to all councillors, welcome to members of the public. Good evening, sir. Perfect timing, well done, Dave.
Come on, Dave.
You're going to have to get an early bus. Oh, you're getting down there. Okay. Wherever you want, I'll just read it. Okay, item 1 is to receive apologies for absence. I'll take them one at a time. Councillor Alf-Jewis will not be attending. Can I have a proposer?
Yes.
So Vince, seconded by Joyce. All those in favour? Councillor Brooks?
I'm abstaining.
So everyone, one abstention. And also apologies from Councillor Stan Stubbs. A proposer please, from Vince, seconded by Joyce. All those in favour? Unanimous? Thank you very much.
That's it.
That's the 2. Declarations of interest. Members are asked to declare, if required, any disposable pecuniary interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda, any other interest they may have in respect to items on the agenda. And members, as always, I remember it's you right? Oh, are ready? No. Good. And also members are reminded to inform the clerk of any changes in respect of their members' interests. Item 3, minutes, which are attached to appendix AI and AII. Take these one at a time. 1 is to confirm the minutes of the annual general meeting of Oakham Town Council held on Wednesday. It's not the annual general meeting, was it? Just a town council meeting, wasn't it? Yeah. To confirm the minutes of the town meeting of Oakham Town Council held on Wednesday the 27th of May 2015. This one Vince should have to abstain on because he has to leave. So basically,
yes.
Proposed by Joyce, is that right? Yeah, proposed by Joyce, seconded by Paul. All those in favour? So that's everybody with an abstention by Vince. I'll sign those now, shall I? Do that, yeah, I'll do that. Then to confirm the minutes of the annual town meeting held on Wednesday the 13th of May. I wasn't there, so I'll be abstaining. So proposed by Joyce, seconded by Vince. All those in favour? Yep, that's. You're going to abstain? Paul's abstained, I've abstained, and everyone else is in favour. Just going to sign these to launch yourselves.
We could be on by 7:30.
Oh.
I'm just getting to Martin's questions.
Coronation Street by 7:30.
I've forgotten the question.
Have you? Oh, in that case, I weren't anyway.
Well, I know they're written, aren't they?
It's been written in crayon, so I can understand.
Don't whack it back as well.
Oh, great.
Oh, this is
You're working on the road. Did you see him?
To Ashford.
and this one as well. Can make money.
They're dredging. Yeah, he's fishing, but they're dredging. And
Oh, right.
They've got a match on or something.
Yes.
There's many valves in there, isn't there? Okay. Right, brilliant. Thank you. Councillors' questions. Item 4. This is to answer questions previously notified to the clerk under Standing Order 9. There were 2 questions put to the council. These will be 2 questions from Councillor Martin Brooks. The following 2 questions have been asked by Councillor Martin Brooks and are answered without discussion, so this is not an opportunity for debate. Question 1. I asked the office who authorised payment of £994.80 to Wilkin Chapman. The office response was, I don't know. Can the council please tell me who authorised the payment and what steps are going to be put in place so that in future taxpayers' money is not spent without resolution of the full council as required by law? Answer. An initial £500 plus VAT, making a total of £600, was authorised by the clerk to the council on 6th of November 2015. The final invoice from Wilkin Chapman amounted to...
No,
14.
14.
Sorry, yeah, 14, yeah. The final invoice from Wilkin Chapman amounted to £829 plus £165.80 VAT, making £994.80. However, I am unable at this point to answer who authorised the additional expenditure of £329 plus VAT. A number of matters have been highlighted that occurred during the clerk's long-term absence, and it will be for the council to decide on the processes that need to be put in place to ensure that these do not happen again. However, as Councillor Brooks is aware, expenditure up to certain limits, as detailed in the council's financial regulations, does not need a full resolution of the council and can be made under delegated authority to a committee or an officer of the council completely lawfully. Question 2. Oakham Town Council has entered into a contract with Personal Advice and Solutions Limited. This was arranged by Councillor Alf Jewis and signed by the former mayor without lawful resolution of the full council. What is the council doing to revoke this contract and to ensure this does not happen again? The answer is the issue of whether to terminate the agreement is being discussed later at this meeting. The second part of the question has been answered fully in one above. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman's and members' reports. I'm aware that Martin's got a report. The only thing I needed to say, has anybody else got anything they want to report on?
No.
The only thing I was going to report on, which hasn't happened yet, is, which has happened. I attended Rutland County Show with Councillor Lucas and Councillor Brooks. The day went well. I attended, I think Martin's, you're going to cover that anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
In more detail, that's why I'm not saying anymore. I attended a cocktail party at 2 Royal Anglian on behalf of the Mayor, and that was even better than the Rutland County Show. And I attended a meeting with the Fitness Centre Working Group. I have no report or nothing else to add on that. That will be coming up at as a later agenda item once I've done some actions. So that's all I've got to report on. So over to you, Martin.
Yeah. And I just say that...
You don't have to stand.
Well, and I like to, because then you know I finish and I sit down, and it's good for your circulation.
Can you sit down now?
I'll just say how nice it was to work with councillors the other evening at that working group that you mentioned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. 2015 county show. I've tried to depersonalise this so as best as I can. I attended the county show to represent and promote our council. I would like to thank Councillor Adam Lowe and his wife for all their work and for welcoming me as part of the small team. From the start, it was not very clear to me why Oakham Town Council had a stand at the show. I attempted to find this out and was ignored. Councillor Lowe and I arranged for co-option packs so I could give them out to anyone who was interested on the day. Another councillor told me this is not why we are here. The packs were later hidden in the afternoon before I distributed 2 packs throughout the entire day. I was affected by a councillor's conduct which was rude and embarrassing, and at times their conduct brought the council into disrepute. Despite this negativity, I took information on a walkabout through the showground and engaged in positive conversations with the residents and visitors at various times throughout the day. I was then publicly accused of wasting information leaflets, which was very embarrassing. If Oakham Town Council is to pay to attend these types of events in the future, please can we have a plan? A number of interesting photographs were displayed. These photographs in some cases were supported by text comments like, "What is next?" A personal or town council comment is all I was saying. And that's the report on the county show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, can I just say that Have you finished?
I
Oh,
finished
sorry.
that one, but I've got another report. But no, if the chairman allows you, if you want something to say, I think it's only fair, because...
Just to say that I gave out quite a number of those packs to various folk for co-option. So, yeah, we did a good job.
Okay, no, thank you. Yep, thank you. Carry on.
Okay, that gives people a break from my voice, doesn't it? I attended, and I'm very sorry, I meant to write the date on here, but I forgot, but I'm sure Richard will help me out and look it up. Not to be confused with Rutland County Council, but the RCC, which is the Rutland Community Council, but it's not a council, to add some more confusion. Rural Council. Rural something. Well, anyway, it's confusing. They're just known these days as RCC. Well, I attended the seminar, and Mr. Dewis, in response to my thing, because obviously not everybody could go, said that he would like me to report to you basically what I felt happened. So in brief, this event, in my opinion, was held to promote the RCC and how it can help parishes like us prepare for the parish plan or the neighbourhood plan. The RCC has been around for 90 years, and until last year was reliant on funds just appearing from DEFRA. The RCC now tells us that they have to prove there is a need for them. Like many organisations now, funding is not readily available. They can also assist us with community assets, such as we're looking at possibly opening a community hub. They can guide us into setting up projects and where we can find money from. But I think it costs to involve them, is the gist of it. At the last point, we were given information from a very enthusiastic and passionate lady about a new initiative which is being run by Aspire Homes and RCC and the lottery funding, and they're called community agents. They're going to be, we have one for Oakham, she may not be the same one, but nice lady. Basically they're going to be the first port of contact for people who may have problems or issues in communities, and they've got like a database and a computer thing and whatever where they can refer people for help and assistance. And obviously we'll probably hear more about that as it develops. They have 3 offices in the former prison site, they tell us, which they're very proud of. But thank you very much for listening.
All right.
Sorry, Chairman, I just missed that bit at the end. Is that where they're working from?
Yeah, they're based at the prison.
Rutland Community Agents.
Yeah, Rutland Community Agents.
It used to be out in Leicester.
They used to be called
Rutland Community Spirit.
Rutland Community Spirit, which I think was a better name than Rutland Community.
Not the same one.
Yes.
Well, it's a case they've lost funding for Rutland Community Spirit, and funding has moved on to a new project.
I thought you were talking about the rural.
Nope.
Well, it's supported by them.
Okay,
they
thank you.
support it.
We shouldn't be debating.
Yes, sorry.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yes, we've got time limit.
Thank you. And Clark's report.
Okay, everybody, you've got a copy of this in French. I emailed this out to you, but I will just reiterate this. Armed Forces Day, flag is being raised on excuse me, Monday, June the 22nd of June. At 10:15 at Oakham Library by 2 Royal Anglian from Kendry Barracks, obviously Adam's friends. Now, if you wish to go, we've been asked that you are there by 10:10 on the morning, when there will be a short address by Kenneth Bull, who's the new chairman of Rutland County Council. There will be no reception this year. And just to also let you know, in case people are wondering, the chairman of the council has received an invite to attend. That's coming this week. Skate park, the agreement has now come through from Rutland County Council, so that's got all the details. The back page has been amended to for parish chairman to sign, and myself. So when Alf is back, then we'll get that signed. Floral displays went up today, so that's all been done. Obviously Dave will know about this, but the in-balloon competition, judges will be coming through on Tuesday the 7th of July. I'll be meeting them as usual at Cuts Close at about 2 p.m. to walk them through Cuts Close, I believe. I haven't been told whereabouts I'm walking them, but I'll have a walk around the park. Hopefully the sun will be shining. Fencing, Cuts Close, obviously this members are aware of this. Still haven't been given a start date for works. Just to let you know about where the maintenance gates are going. One will be sort of on the southern boundary, which is where the sort of skate park is central to that. The other one is actually going to be on the Burley Road car park side, which I thought was a bit odd, but Adam's confirmed that is actually where it is going to go. So where I've queried that, that is where the other maintenance gate is going to go. All Saints Churchyard, we've got a number of self-seeded elder trees in there now, which are getting quite established, and they are not really adding to the overall appearance of the churchyard. People who may have elders in their garden know how invasive they can be. Additionally, having a walk round with grounds maintenance contractor last week, was it, or earlier this week, it's apparent that we've got a lot of ivy growing through the yew trees now. Again, ivy is very, very damaging, so we need to get that sorted, because otherwise it's going to cause some serious problems with those trees. I've talked to Janine down at All Saints, so I'll hopefully be meeting with whoever looks after their trees shortly. We've got basil growth as well, that needs to be removed, also in Cuts Close. This is standard practice, it's done every year, usually around this time, so we're actually meeting our tree surgeon on Friday, so I'll be walking around with him as well just to get that organised. So it doesn't need planning permission, even though they are protected trees, because it is regarded as essential maintenance. A couple of things that are coming up, just to give you advance notice and some contact details if you want to look this up before planning and parks. One is the community infrastructure levy. Now the council has already, I can't give you the date, but the council has actually already commented or not commented on this a couple of years ago, I think. There are additional consultation now. They're looking to bring this in. Rutland is in January 2016. Those of you who were at the training session on Monday will know that Jake mentioned about the community infrastructure levy, and one of its things is that anything raised from it, Oakham Town Council at the moment will get 15%. As it stands at the moment, although apparently that's being challenged by some large councils who don't want to give parish councils that cut. The second one is supplementary planning document. Sorry to drag this one back up again. Again, there is a new consultation on this one. This is going in front of you again on the 24th. All of the sort of website details, phone numbers, etc., etc. there. That is quite a hefty document. I will probably not copy it out to you, because it's probably as thick as that, as all of the stuff you had today. So if you can appraise yourselves, I think there is a summary document. That will probably be all you get for the agenda meeting on the 24th. So you've got what they're actually asking there. So okay, just be aware of that. Finally, just to clarify this about how you as members can get items onto the agenda. Some of you have approached me about this before, so if we can get it down in writing for you so you know what you've got to do. It's actually laid down in the standing orders, standing order 4, about motions requiring written notice. Now that's sort of quite a bland document, so this is to put a little bit more flesh on that, if you like. If you want something on there, basically we need a report. It is not good enough for you to say, can I please have this on the agenda? We need a written report, please. We have a report template that we can send out to you, or you can email it in, and we're quite happy to cut and paste it onto that for you. Okay? So, and I've done that for a few members. But if you've got something, or a resident's approached you about something that you'd like to bring to the council's or committee's attention, this is the mechanism for doing it. As you're aware, the agendas normally go out on the Thursday before the following Wednesday's meeting. Okay? So what I would like you to sort of bear in mind is that we need that report in probably by the end of Monday at the latest. Now the reason for that is that that report will be checked by myself. If there is anything that I believe is unlawful, and then what happens is we sort of look at it, amend it. There may be a fact that's wrong, or not intentionally, but if I can help and amend it, then it comes back to the author of the report to make sure that it's okay, and then that report is the one that goes through to the committee or the council. It is not the officer's intention to interfere or rewrite the report for you. Okay, and we won't write the report for you. We will, retain, what is being said. But if there are obvious errors, then we will seek to correct those. Okay, so that's really it. And if there is anything that we can help you with, if you need some information that we've probably got it here in the office, or you think we've got it here in the office, then we'll do our best to help you. It might be a minute or a report, or you might need some financial information. Okay, so we're more than happy to help with that, but we won't write the report for you.
Okay, brilliant.
Could I just check one thing? Sorry. Shoot. Richard, the first date you said about the Armed Forces Day, what was it? 21st?
So it's Monday is 22nd.
Yeah.
Monday the 22nd of June. Alright?
Yeah, I'm ready.
If you got that report.
Okay?
Got your report. There you are.
Okay, okay, thank you for that, Richard. Moving on to item 7, deputations by a member of the public. Sir, you are allowed to address any comments or questions to the council in relation to items on our agenda at this point. If you...
I'm less generous, but I'm too overwhelmed.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, item 8. This is appointment of at least 2 members as per financial regulations. So this is appendix B on here, and this is to appoint at least 2 members with whom the clerk is required to consult with for expenditure between £1,000 and £2,000. It's pretty straightforward. We've done it before. Previously, it was I can't remember. It was Rob and Alf. And what it is, if the clerk had to make a large expenditure, which very rarely, if ever, came up, he'd consult with them to get it signed off. So all he needed is 2 members of the council who are prepared to do this. Paul, you happy to?
I don't mind.
Yeah. Anybody else like to be considered for that?
Does the chairman need to be asked?
Doesn't have to. No, it doesn't have to be the chairman. So that'd be fine. So basically, at the moment, a question from mine.
Yeah, there's a big word on here called, I think it's disaggregated, and I must admit I had to Google it to look it up, and then it reminded me, and this goes back to the old council. If we are going to have these regulations and put them in, could the council, especially these members, ensure that they're adhered to, because I understand that the benches in the town are split into 2 contracts so that they don't have to tender.
Okay.
So if we're going to write things, then could we not see from the new council that we actually apply them?
I don't think we've ever fallen foul of this before. So this is just 2 people. This ensures a safeguard. This is a check measure, isn't it? So at the moment I've got Councillor Lucas and Councillor Mills. Paul,
Can I propose them together? Collectively,
proposed by Vince then as the 2 people that nominate themselves, seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Unanimous.
Can I just explain, Chairman, that sometimes if we have very much damage to a tree, we have to do it in an emergency, and that came to light with a tree, I think when Richard was off, and Alison asked me about it. So, it's quite important that we...
Well, it's a contingency that we have.
Absolutely.
That's the important thing. So, and these, now we have 2 people there that the clerk can contact if he needs to do so, as per our financial regulation for company. Thank you. Item 9 is the appointment of a member to verify the bank reconciliations, and this is purely to appoint a member to countersign bank reconciliations and other documentation as per our financial regulation 2.2. Once again, reasonably straightforward, but this is what I think Rob used to do. He would just glance over the statements, I think, wasn't it?
Oh no, you've been going for quite a while, guys.
It would get, simple for a mathematician, shall we say. Anybody interested in... Oh, Michael, you interested in that? Yes? Brilliant. Anybody else interested in...
No.
Okay. Joyce has proposed Michael. Who's seconded by Paul? All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, Michael. And what it is, Richard will go through that with you and explain how it works.
Yeah, it's usually every quarter.
You're saving us bringing it to council according to the training.
And once again, it's a safeguard policy.
Yes, I think it's good that it's not one of the 4 text signatures.
Good point, yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to raise that.
Yeah. Okay, now we're getting down to it. Item 10 is the Planning Subcommittee, Appendix D, and this is to appoint a new member to the Planning Subcommittee. There should be 4 people on it. I believe that Stan came off. Should be 5, beg your pardon, but 1's come off. Now I believe that one councillor has expressed an interest in joining this. Isn't that right?
Yes, I don't want to nominate myself, but if somebody...
So at the moment I am aware that Councillor Brooks has expressed an interest in joining the Planning Subcommittee. Is anybody else interested, or...? Okay, anybody want to put... Michael?
No,
you're on it, Michael. David's on it,
yeah.
Paul's on it, and Vince is on it. So you'd be being joined by... well, I'll propose Councillor Brooks, seconded by Michael. All those in favour?
All of us? Oh, right.
Yeah, that's unanimous. Congratulations.
I don't know how long it will be going for. But...
Well,
that's the first challenge you've got, is to make it sustainable.
Well, we've got to move it until the evening.
right, thank you. Right, item 11 is the general power of competence. A little bit more. Well, actually, this is not that difficult. It's laid out in a pretty straightforward manner. It's to decide whether Oakham Town Council will exercise the general power of competence. Are there any questions? This has come up before and it got deferred, I believe, didn't it? So we don't need to defer it again, I'm sure. This is the one where we can exercise our general power of competence because we're technically all elected. We have a qualified clerk.
Yeah.
So, Martin.
Well, if anyone else wants to comment first.
Can I ask, yes, is there any reason not to do it? Or what are the reasons not to do it?
Is there any reason? I don't see any reason not to do it, and even if you choose to do it, you don't necessarily have to use it.
No, it'd be likely a bit shorter if you go that route, that's all.
Yeah, so...
Because my question is the entire opposite to that.
Right.
What does it do for us? Because it says on the second page, general power of competence summary is a benefit to the council. And my questions against that were, why is it beneficial and how is it beneficial? Can we just tell that in another?
Maybe Richard, do you want to summarise it in a...
Well, I mean, you've got the summary there. I mean, what it does allow, it allows council to do certain things that it wasn't allowed to do before. One of them primarily is lending money to a business or something like that. Now, as Adam says, just because you've got it, it doesn't mean you have to use it. The benefit to the council was explained. It's more of a procedural thing, I guess, as was explained by Jake on the training thing on Monday. At the moment, Oakham Town Council has to look into various areas where it can spend money. One authority fell foul of this because they opened and paid for a new library in their parish.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now this, they took all the advice that was from all the county associations, I think even to the national level, and it was queried by one of their parishioners, and expense of council, COUNSEL, was sought, and they were told that it wasn't legal. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what the GPOC does is, because an ordinary man in the street, if they wanted to, could open a library, then that means that a council could open a library. Okay, so anything that the normal providing is within the law, of course, doesn't necessarily mean the council wants to open a library, but it gives it the power to do so. Vince made a very good point when we were discussing this. Currently, Oakham Town Council, in fact all parish councils that are working under existing, if you like, sort of statute, cannot make grants to an individual, or it can, but by a roundabout means. Let's say it's an athlete who wants some money to go on a training camp or something like that. As it stands at the moment, you cannot make a grant to an individual. That is the law. Okay?
Yeah.
Under general and you get around it by, if they're a member of an athletic club, you can give to the club, and they can. There's a way around it. But the general power of competence says, well, an ordinary man in the street could give that person some money, so the council could give that person some money. Now, the point that Vince raised is that Oakham Town Council, in its own grant criteria, say it will not make sums of money available to individuals. So the council still has a check and a balance there. Even though it could do, the council can introduce its own protocols, say, even though we could do it, our own rules say we won't do it. See what I mean?
This is how I understand it. This whole document, this framework, is a framework for safety. But we can have our own standing orders inside that framework, which override any of the guidance. It's like health and safety.
Okay, Martin, you want to say
I think this is the failing of us not being legally qualified. It's not here this evening, but I asked the question, and I took it that he said actually if it says in what they call the Parish Council Bible, is that law does not override things that you cannot do. So, and I've read that, you can basically open up a library, because the law doesn't actually say specifically that you can't open a library, but if it actually says you cannot fund an individual in that law, then you're not allowed to override that law. And that's what I've had from two people, but then I'm not, and my thing about it is that I don't see a need for it at this council, at this stage. If we need it, then maybe we could impose it. I look at the history of the council and the few mistakes that have been made in the past, and I think having the rules and the regulations and a clerk to just check that you can actually do it, because one of the biggest things on the local government website is you adopt this and you use it with caution because it comes with risk. Somebody was going to bring me some case law tonight, but they haven't done it. So there has been cases where this is challenged. I will personally tonight will be voting against this because I was not given the reason why we wanted to do it satisfactorily, to be told that because others are doing it, it's not a satisfactory answer to me.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's a good viewpoint. Michael?
Well, in part you've answered why I faced the question is, what are the reasons not to do it? So that isn't asked on the basis that it seems a good idea to do it. What are the practical reasons not to? So you... Well,
mine is the risk.
I think when you said just now that it doesn't enable you to do things.
Conversation, because I can't follow this.
You've got to look at Joyce, she can't read you.
When you said that it doesn't enable you to do things that you're otherwise prevented from doing by law, then that's in a way self-evident. So the thing perhaps to concentrate on is what it does enable you to do where you wouldn't otherwise be able to.
That's the important thing, is it enables you to do something that you cannot currently do, but you do not have to use it.
But you do not use it.
We're not breaking any rules by adopting it.
No.
So what it does, it's a string to the bow of the council, and there's a valid point made by Martin that in actual fact, maybe if we need to use it, we could then invoke it then. But there is the argument, you could invoke it now and adopt it now and not use it. Whichever way you want to go. But I think we've probably had enough discussion, we've got some good viewpoints. Closing comments from Martin?
Come back for the second time.
Shoot.
My fear is that if you have that power, not you personally, but the council, as he said very clearly, we cannot delegate, or a councillor cannot make a decision on their own. So a person in the street can make a decision on their own. So you would be breaking the law if you used the Empowerment Act and said, I can do that. And that's why I just think at this stage we're all new, that it's good that we just check we're allowed to do it. The book is of law of what we can't do, is huge.
Okay.
So
I
that's
understand
all.
what you're saying. The thing is that at the moment we are legally allowed to adopt.
Yeah,
We are allowed to adopt this general power of confidence. Now, I think we've debated it enough. I'm going to ask the question, even put forward the recommendation that the council exercises its right to use the general power of competence by means of the following resolution. That on June the 10th, 2015, Oakham Town Council met the criteria for eligibility for the general power of competence and that will exercise its right to use it until the next relevant annual meeting of the council.
Yeah.
So, proposed by Councillor Lucas, seconded by Councillor Howard. All those in favour? All those against? Councillor Brooks, do you want your name minuted as being against that?
There's no need, because I just, well, if you want to, Richard, you can put my name as against, in case something did go wrong.
Just in case somebody breaks the law. You want to say
Yeah,
that?
because we were told very clearly that we are legally responsible and there are criminal
Alright, well that's
sanctions now.
alright, thank you very much. Item 12 is Internal Auditor's Report, Appendix F, a beautiful piece of orange paper. This is to discuss the report from the visit of the internal auditor made on the 21st of May and to make any decisions as appropriate. And the decisions could be that it, for example, on this occasion, we're not going to go into how should we do, you know, what should the audit be doing, what should we be doing at the council. The decision, let's say, would be we need to refer this to, let's say, the procedures working group. So is there any questions or comments actually on the report that anybody wants to make? No? Martin?
I don't want to be first.
No, well, you're the only one, so you've got to be.
Okay, I'd just like to say that unfortunately we've adopted this report and I find it quite embarrassing that the council has such an internal report with that paragraph in the middle there.
Okay, alright, thank you.
I don't know if a member of the public has it, I think they do.
Okay, that's your comment, so I appreciate that. Anybody else got any other comments? We're probably looking to recommend that our procedures working group review the internal auditor's report. That's the sort of thing I'm probably looking for.
Is that a proposal? Do you want me to put that forward as a proposal?
That would be, yes.
Yes. Can you repeat that?
The proposal is from Councillor Howard now, is that the comments of the internal auditor are taken on board, and that this is referred to the procedures working group.
Yeah, policies and procedures.
Policies and procedures working group as a matter of priority.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
I
was,
second that.
yeah, seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you.
Me.
Oh, right, okay, cool.
Good people.
That's all right. Well, that's a good.
You were always like, we basically went for our to get back.
Yeah.
Sit down with it.
Well, that's it. You want to hang on to that orange paper?
But just like
And ironically now we come on to the appointment of an internal auditor. This is to appoint an internal auditor for the 2015-16 financial year. We've got a choice of two. Hopefully everybody, I think we'll do an exercise for a minute. If everybody's read this, these might seem miles apart when it comes to price. Currently, Mr. Snowden is our auditor, and he comes in at a very reasonable price. That's my interpretation of this document. And we've had a further price submitted by Mr. Wilcox. I can mention these names in public domain because it's in this report. It's nothing to be hidden here. His price seems potentially almost double. I'm opening this up to the table. I'd like to hear what the councillors have to say.
Wasn't it agreed that we would look at using a different auditor because of continuity, even though could we not beat him down on price?
Okay. Good point, Michael.
Only two, could there be three or four?
Yeah.
I think only two came forward.
Yeah, I approached 5.
Well, what, and the others weren't interested?
Yeah. One, I had a phone. Well, in fact, one said he wasn't interested. One never returned. And in fact, when I came back to work this afternoon, there was a phone call from another member who said that he couldn't do it either because he was too busy. So you only have these of the 5 that I approached, of which Mr. Snowden was one. They were on the list that was given to me by the Leicestershire Road Association of Local Councils.
Well, then maybe that Mr. Wilcox needs to be suggested to that his price is high.
Okay, Martin, the comment?
Yes.
You don't have to stand, by the way. Keep standing.
No, I do. You're going
I
to
don't
say
care,
that. No, because then I know I've sat down and shut up. I would like this deferred so that the finance group can sort it out on Friday.
Why deferred?
Because from what I learnt on Monday, this is a very, very important part of a councillor's responsibility. It's our only safeguard that we won't be held liable for anything that goes wrong. We should be looking for the auditor. No disrespect to our clerk. We don't know this man. He will be auditing Richard's work. So it should be down to some councillors on that committee to find enough people to see the pricing, because I've got accountant friends, the other man's too cheap. That's what I was told. And the other one is reasonable. You will probably find that most people will come in at the same price as the second one.
Yeah.
But we need a choice. And you know, to say that this person has 2 references, where are the references? We don't have them, and we're supposed to be making a decision tonight on something which, fortunately, nothing's gone wrong at Oakham Town Council, but on Monday we were told things can go wrong, and we should put the safeguards in place so that it doesn't happen. That's all I said.
Thank you. Joyce?
First of all, it's interesting that Mr. Wilcox is 132 miles. Does the other one live locally, or... I mean, these 2 men, I presume, yes, these 2 men are au fait with local government, and that's the crux of the matter. You've got to have somebody who knows about local government. Well, I think you do.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the clerk...
I'm going to pick up on 2 points here. The point one is that it's to a certain extent, yeah, that maybe the reason their price is high is because they live a distance away.
Yes.
The other point is that, just to clarify, these people are not recommended by the clerk.
No.
The clerk approached the LR, the local council people that guide us, and said, we need to look at internal auditors, can you give us a list? And he was given a list of 5 people. So that, the inference there is slightly, you know, incorrect. So to me, we had 5 people that were approached, 2 people have come back. I personally do not think it will benefit the council, because the financial working group cannot make a decision on who should be the internal auditor. It's a council decision. They can recommend. They might come back in a month's time and recommend these 2. And if only 5 people, only 2 out of 5 came back, what's going to change in a month? So, yeah.
What's the deadline?
I was just going to ask that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, it's, I mean, the requirement is you've got to appoint one annually.
Yeah.
You have to have one. The idea is obviously an audit plan that you've got there, the internal audit plan that was produced by Mr. Snowden. You've got a copy of that. That takes a little while to put together. So if this goes back to July, the idea is that the audit plan or whatever is approved usually in August, and you start, you know, the first visit is usually in September, which, let's face it, is almost 6 months into the year.
I'm going to come to David.
Sorry.
Yes. How long has Snowden been doing the
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
Appointed in May
It should
2009.
have changed.
Okay, I'm just going to come back to Vince. Martin,
Too long.
thank you.
I was going to suggest that if we are having a period where we're losing time, that we use Mr. Snowden for one last year, which gives us enough time to seek alternative for a future 5 years and call it, you know, so that we actually look at saying that after 4 years we will be replacing you, so it'll be like a 4-year contract. So we might be able to sort of tease better.
Okay, let me come over to, that's an interesting point. I'm just going to go to Martin, then I'll come to Michael.
Yeah, Mr. Snowden, I think the problem we have there, it was mentioned, and I did mention it at a previous meeting, in 2009 the external auditor reported on an auditor and the words they used, because they were in office, that's the correct term, for the similar period as Mr. Snowden, that the council had become too close to them.
Okay, all right.
Cozy,
Too cozy was the word, wasn't it? And my view is that Mr. Snowden on that basis, not because he's done a good job, and the council should probably write and thank him for it, if that's all agreed, but he shouldn't be considered. So then that was my concern. There's only one, and my accountant friend says to me that any qualified accountant, auditor type person could do this, because it's basically, they don't have to know about council things. All you're doing, you've got a very good plan there from Mr. Snowden, and anybody who's qualified, or is in the sense unqualified, but qualified to audit, would understand that.
Let's stop there then. I'm looking for Michael. You were going to say, raise a comment?
Well, two things. Jake, I can't remember his surname, who gave the Atkinson, who gave the talk on Monday, came across to me personally as very competent, and was he the person, Richard, who gave you the list?
Well, the Leicester, he's the chief executive of the Leicestershire
So if you wanted to, we could probably say to him, out of that 5, only 2...
they do not recommend it. All they did was give me the list.
No, well, could he give another list then?
Well, that was the only 5 that are internal auditors practising in the Leicestershire and Rutland area. Well, that they are aware of.
All right, so he can't do that.
So that was the first point.
Second is, would it be appropriate for the Finance Committee to speak to the candidates and make a recommendation to the council for the appointment?
I don't think it quite works like that.
Well,
personally, does it? But it's not a job interview. The auditors, they offer their services as professional individuals.
Well, it's a retaining of a service, isn't it, in that sense?
Okay. Another interesting viewpoint. David, what have you got to throw onto this?
Yes, I think we should give Wilcox a try. The actual £939.40 is very reasonable. The other one's been charging a very low fee. Even with £70 odd of travelling allowance, I mean, it's still reasonable that. Okay. I think we ought to make a decision on it.
Yes, I think.
Well, we have.
Because we need a change, and we can't be waiting around for another 6 months.
I totally get what you're saying, Michael, about the almost canvassing, or not sort of job checking, or sort of assessing the capability of these people and seeing who we prefer. We've had comments around the table saying that Snowden, even from external auditors, has a cosy relationship with the council. That's nothing to say that there's
not
anything
Mr. Snowden.
No, sorry. The
previous.
Right, the previous one. So that we don't want to get into that area. The thing where we've had Snowden for 4 years and that a change would be good.
Yeah.
Or 4+ years. We went out because we've had criticisms before. Only 2 people out of 5 have come forward. I don't want to defer it.
No.
Because I think we're halfway through the year. The idea about hanging on to Snowden is not a bad idea, but I'm tending, if David wants to propose Mr. Wilcox as the auditor for this year, I think we should.
Can I just ask, have we seen these
references?
No, I spoke to them, as it said. I contact Tracy at Thermoston, who I know very well anyway. Sue, I don't know as well. I think I have met her before. Both of them.
Say that again.
Both of them couldn't commend Mr. Wilcox highly enough. They said, in my report, as I said, I took up the references. I spoke to both of those ladies listed, Tracy Cunn at Thermoston and Sue at Birstall, and both were highly recommended him, commented on his thoroughness, helpfulness and professionalism and the quality of the reports he provided.
And that's what I'm not written. I'm just going to hold it there. So we've got a proposal by, I'm going to hold your second. We've got a proposal by David, but I'll just try to hear what Michael has to say.
Well, it is true, isn't it, that a professional auditor is a professional auditor and can audit a charity commission, a charity or a town council. The point was just being made. So, in fact, the list doesn't have to be 2 out of 5.
No, it doesn't have to be. But
you may say, well, it's a pity somebody didn't make that point earlier because we are now over our time. Is there really that much of a rush that a local firm of auditors?
There's never a rush on time. However, we've done this before in the past when we've gone out and looked at things and we've not been happy with what we've got. We've gone looking, we came back with the same results. And that could be that we learned from this, because at one point we were saying, well, let's stick with Snowden for the remainder of the year, but no, we've now got a proposal saying Mr. Wilcox for this year, but then look at things for maybe 2016, 2017. So if we wanted, if you like, we could be doing a test on the auditor for this next year. So we have a proposal from David that we.
Maybe that's something to take forward to the finance group.
Exactly, yeah, we could refer that through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So proposal from David is that Richard Wilcox is the auditor for the year. It was.
I'll second.
Right, it's going to be seconded by Councillor Brooks. All those in favour? You're abstaining, or you're abstaining or against? Abstaining. Right, so thank you.
Can we ask the clerk, if everybody agrees, that we write to Mr. Snowden and thank him for his work? Because I have met him a couple of times and he does work quite hard.
He will do that.
The fee was very small. It wasn't to the extent, as we were told on Monday, where Summer paid with a bottle of whiskey.
Really? Okay. All right, that was that. That was item. Is that item 13?
It was.
That's looking at. Right. Item 14 is the accounts 2014-15. To discuss, decide whether to approve the account statement for 2014-15. Any questions?
You should run through them with the person who's produced them. Is that Richard?
It is Richard, yeah.
Fire away.
I don't mean now. I mean, you know, the opportunity to spend an hour or so just going through them.
Yeah, I mean,
That's not to criticise.
No, sorry, Michael.
It is just familiarity with
how it's.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I mean, I apologise for the the sort of length of them, but basically they are prepared in accordance with governance and accountability and the audit regulations. Now, okay. So they have been approved by the internal auditor. They all add up. There are some areas where I'm going to have to explain to the external auditors, and the external auditors don't see these. All the external auditors see is what you've got on page 4, which is basically a summary of the accounts, which is the annual return, which if the accounts are approved tonight, Adam will sign. So all you've got in front of you really is those figures, and all of these papers basically bring you back to those figures and where they have come from. Okay, so
I would expect that to be the case.
yeah. And what you have to have, again under the regulations, is sight of the primary financial records. So you have got copies of bank statements. You have got copies of the passports from the Cambridge Building Society. You've got the bank recs. You've got the sort of summary of receipts and payments for the year. And really, as I say, they all add up, but there are some things that will need to be explained to the
But you are, yeah, by all means, making a point coming to see Richard and go through, because you're going to be obviously looking at accounts and everything. But in the meantime, if anybody else has not got any questions, are we happy to Mike?
It was just something I discussed with you the other evening. I noticed in the accounts there's a mention to the fitness centre deposit, and obviously we know there's rent arrears. I just wondered what the situation is on that, because I can't find anywhere in here, but we had a lot of paperwork about rent arrears.
I believe that the only thing this refers to is balancing of books, isn't it? That's a pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be
what members want to do with the figures
show debtors.
That isn't.
All this document is to show that our financial books are in order and correct, regardless of whether people have paid their rents or not. So the fitness centre thing is just, even though it's mentioned in here, is not actually
it's a separate agenda.
For whether they have paid their, you can sit down if you want. Whether they've paid or not paid, that is a separate item altogether. This is purely to do with signing the financial account. Within the financial accounts, at some point it will say that they've arrived at this point because these people have paid this, these people haven't paid that, or whatever. We paid out that for this, that for the other.
But surely it should show the creditors in the town accounts. I don't know.
It shows the income and expenditure, doesn't it?
If some rent due is not been paid, you'd expect that to be shown
That's
as a receipt.
I can't find that in the accounts. I know you don't know how much is due and what is happening to get that back. But obviously that will be a separate item. But I would have expected, and you've put it in perfect words, that it should show when there's a creditor. Is that the right word for them? That they're a creditor to the council?
Certainly.
Just David, what you got?
Yeah, it was discussed about the arrears.
Well, I know, I've seen it at
Yeah,
meetings,
it
but
was
it should
discussed
show
about
in the accounts
Yeah.
because it's money owed to the council.
Well, on this account, it shows incomes and expenditures, doesn't it? So when it doesn't
I couldn't
list them.
actually find anywhere where it says there was a credit.
Well, yeah, but it won't name them on the income and expenditure spreadsheets as such. I don't believe.
Not the simplest account.
No.
to follow.
So the end of year, this is the end of year financial accounts with everything totalled up. It just gives an overview of what we started with and where we end up basically.
Can I just point out, it does show fitness centre rent £9,000, actual 8,250.
What
So
page is that, sorry?
This is page 2 of the
Thank you.
summary,
Yeah.
or
Well,
page
that's what I
15 of the summary. So it actually says it is in arrears, so there's a variation of £750, which is a separate agenda item on how we recover that.
Okay, no
But
problem.
realistically, if you look at the way that the ledger's worked, fitness estimated 9,000, actual 825,
I
with a
found
variance of
Good.
750. So therefore, it balances because you're showing the two figures, what it should be, what it is, and what it actually balances out at.
And to clarify,
So-
that is all the back work that goes for that sheet. There is the sheet that you're agreeing to, is it?
Yeah, the front
These-
bit, page 4.
That is the bit that I have to sign. Once we agree that everything that's totalled up comes to that. Michael.
That's fine, as long,
Yeah.
as long as that's a detailed figure you're looking at, as long as the amount is then shown in the balance sheet as a receivable.
Yes.
And that isn't what we were just looking at there.
It's not in the balance.
It is, it's showing in the receipts.
That's not the balance sheet statement of a receivable. Elsewhere in there it says paper drawn up on a cash basis and only at the end turned into a receivable and payable, which is fair enough.
Okay, anybody got any other comments on it? We're looking basically for the council to approve the account statement, regardless of whether people have paid their rent or not. And it's myself, the chairman, who's going to put in his name to this as well to say that this is pretty much correct. So basically, looking for a recommendation to approve the accounting statement. So a proposal.
I'd like to propose the accounts.
Yeah? You happy with that, Richard?
Or a
Proposal
true and
on
reflective
events?
statement.
Yes, it's all there. Yeah. Proposal to approve the account statements for 2014-2015 by Vince Howard, seconded by David Blanksby. All those in favour? Right, we've got 1, 2, 3. David, are you in favour?
Yeah.
4. All those against? 2 against and abstaining? Paul's abstaining. Do you want your names minuted?
Please, yeah.
Michael? No.
Well, if one, then everybody is. So,
Sorry about that. You don't want any more.
Sign this now or later?
But also we weren't councillors at the council, so I just think we should be David,
Okay.
we should keep an eye on things from that.
What's today's date?
10th.
No.
10-6.
So I was just looking at something else.
I've never liked it.
Right.
I've got my mountains of paper at home.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, you'll have to, obviously, I think when you come in and go through the accounts thing with Richard, he'll probably explain it in more detail, if that's... item 15 is the annual governance statement. This is, I don't know if everybody's read this. simply put, from this document, there's 2 out of 5 items did not get done by the council, or did not get done. So the council got no choice but to answer no on this. This is likely to mean that the council will not get a qualified opinion from the external auditor.
No, it will get a qualified.
It will get qualified. Oh, so we'll get qualified from the external auditor. Yeah, go on. It's your
There's 2 things the auditor can do. One is a qualified opinion where the the governance statement, the annual return is okay, but there are issues. That's what qualified means. Unqualified, I know it means an unqualified audit. No, that means that they are completely happy with the annual return, etc., etc., and all the documentation that I'm going to have to send to them. Now, in previous years, the council, if we're going into this annual governance statement, has ticked yes box to all of those first 8 questions. Number 9, trust funds, is not applicable to Oakham Town Council, so you can ignore that. 1 to 8 have always been ticked as yes. In 2014, 2015, it cannot tick. It has to tick no to 2 and 5, I'm afraid. Number 2, maintain an adequate system of internal control. Okay, the council does have a system of internal control. This was approved in September of 2014. However, the key part of this is reviewed its effectiveness. Now, this normally happens in March, just before the end of the financial year. It happens in the last meeting of the council to review how effective the council systems of internal control have been. That review did not happen. Quite simply, it didn't happen. And if it had have happened, then the council may have been of a mind to say that the systems of internal control weren't effective. Okay? Primarily because of the issues that have been raised at this meeting and at previous meetings because of my absence. Okay? So the systems of internal control do have in them what would happen if either myself or the assistant clerk were off for a prolonged period of time. All it says from memory is that the council will take appropriate measures. Now, obviously, that did not happen, and that is why a number of issues have been raised which are going to be looked at very, very carefully over the next few months. So it cannot answer yes to number 2. Number 5 didn't happen either, which is the risk assessment, which, as I said, is normally a desk-bound thing. The actual workings of the council haven't, if you like, changed, but the sort of financial risk, obviously there are issues that have been raised with regard to some payments that have been made without possibly the correct authorisation or without the correct authorisation. So it cannot answer yes to number 5 because it didn't happen. So what the council is doing is it's not trying to hide anything. You can't say to the external auditor, yes, these things happen. Or it could, but it would soon get found out because the extra information the external auditor requires is proof, rather coincidentally, that number 2 and number 5 actually happened, and it didn't. So the governance statement, as it stands, the council has to approve it because it can't say yes we did something when it actually didn't.
Any comments from the table? No? Martin?
Sorry. I just thought I'd like to point out to members in the report, it says in there, and gives the effect, because somebody made the comment that I was making a mountain out of a molehill. It says that the amount only involved was only £160. Now you have to bear in mind that this is to a certain period, and this unauthorised expenditure, unfortunately, has continued to this present day. Richard is very, very kind to provide information to show so that he's not hiding anything, but I think we need to take this governance thing very seriously and make sure that this...
This is from 2014-15.
Yeah, this
Yeah, but I'm just pointing
out.
out...
In 2014 and 15.
That's what I said.
It's
that
160.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, is that because people are looking at this now, they may not realise that that refers just to that period, and then of course there's me making all this fuss with questions and things, and I'm just highlighting that it's an overlapping period.
It's happened before and it's happening now, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. And that's right. That's a valid point.
And
the
I'm
thing
hoping the policy group will get together and make sure that this never happens again, because it was from a period from November 2014 up until now.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
We've been down most of that, so that's good.
Can I just ask one thing, Richard? What is the ramifications of just signing that to say that we've not achieved?
The external auditors will come back and say, yes, you've done most of them, but you haven't done these two things. And highly likely that they will seek assurance next year that they have been.
Yeah.
The external auditor is not going to, and Jake did make this point, it's not going to bash councils over the head, but all it wants to do is make sure that if it hasn't done something, that
it corrects it.
And as it says there, if it hasn't happened, that they want to see evidence that what is the council going to do about it. So at the very bottom, please provide explanations for each no response. Describe how the council will address the weaknesses identified.
Which is we're effectively holding our hands up and saying we're not.
Yeah, we haven't done it. But
we're going to do it right.
Council is doing.
And the decision that's required now is to decide whether to approve the annual governance statement 2014-15. And then it should be signed by the chairman of the meeting approving the governance statement and the clerk. So that's a proposal, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're looking for a proposal on that from Vince. Thank you. Seconded by Paul. All those in favour?
Yeah.
And who's abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
To Michael and Mark.
Purely because I wasn't on the council for that.
No, that's fair. No.
Dave, did you abstain as well?
No, David was in favour, weren't you?
I weren't on the council though.
No, did you abstain just? No, sorry.
Okay.
That's wrong.
Everyone else agreed, it was just Michael and Mark.
Just excuse me a second, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Have I got signs on it now or not?
Because that's public. That's what I'm going to ask the external auditor, because we're on record now. We need to know.
It's on the chair.
We'll talk about it on
Chairman
Friday.
Dave.
So,
We'll talk about it on Friday.
yeah, trouble is out involved.
Well, no, no.
But they need an answer. People should not be scared to give the money. And that's all it is.
Yeah, so
But I will bring this up when the external auditor is doing the things. I'm going to bring that up.
Well, let's discuss it internally first.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
So I don't even know if you've made a break, have you?
I've not.
Had you made a break?
No, we're just signing that. Not, I was taking my time so Paul could get back. I was just hoping that the clerk will let me have my pen back then. It's not my pen, that's my pen over there with the lid.
It's quite relaxed that.
Put right and all that to the table. Who's report? Isn't he the report for his media area?
No.
Okay. That signature took a while, so have fun. Item 16. This is the personnel support pink paper. To decide whether to authorise the continuation or cancellation of the current agreement. Has everybody read this pink paper and understand it? Anybody got any comments or questions? Okay, I'm going to come to Martin to kick this off.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. No, because it was this.
Well,
this
it's
was born
related
out
to
of
my
conversation,
questions,
wasn't
isn't it?
We
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. I'm hoping this evening, and I know that the clerk would like to benefit from one extra month because we've paid for it. But because we have to give 1 month's notice to cancel this contract I'm told, and read. So I'm hoping that this evening that the council will cancel this contract and put something in place, because I've used the word fed up, keep reading, that this was implemented in good faith. As councillors and as a chairman, not myself, you cannot do this on your own without resolution of the council. Mrs. Woodcock obviously signed it, it's there for everybody to see, but if you turn the page you can see that it's Mr. Dewis who arranged it. And to me, that's, you know, this whole business came about in November 2014. This was signed in April this year. So to be saying that it's been done in good faith and never bringing it before this council, to me is an inaccurate statement. I believe that the people involved didn't want to bring it to you, and I'm hoping that the policy and working group pick up on the dates for this and make sure that this never happens again, because we are fortunate that there is a 1 month cancellation. We could have ended up paying a contract for money for nothing for years.
Right, thank you. I think Martin has pretty much gone over there what's contained within the report. Yeah. This was taken out, it hadn't been approved by the council. Yeah. If everybody's read it, to me it's pretty straightforward. The decision required is to decide whether the agreement should be continued or terminated as from the 10th of June. Correctly pointed out that we've already paid, as it says in the report, 2 payments equaling £200 plus VAT. We have to give 1 month's notice. And then to decide whether to authorise the clerk to seek pass advice on matters pertaining to it. Right. Yeah. David?
Has it been beneficial?
Yes. No. It has been beneficial, because it was HR advice that was sought at a time when we needed it. That's why the other councillors who are not here.
So we've got to decide whether we still need it.
We have, yes. Vince.
I accept what you've said, Mr. Brooks, Councillor Brooks, Martin, however you want me to address you.
Martin's fine.
Yeah. My only concern is what safeguards have we got in place.
Yeah.
You say make alternative arrangements. What are the alternative arrangements? Because equal opportunities and the harassment, they are protected characteristics by law under the 2010 Equal Opportunities Act. Now, if we've got nothing in place bar this, then we could be in a whole lot more trouble than we are.
Okay, I think we're getting slightly out of bounds because in actual, I think what Martin's saying is that we should be protecting the council from councillors engaging in contracts. The whole reason it's not about the HR policy per se. It's not about.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
No, what it is, councillors have made a decision without bringing it to council. Now, to clarify, we already had procedures in place, but they were not followed. That's why this was signed. This is why this was authorised. So the only decision to be made, really, is do we now cancel this agreement or do we leave it in situ? And that is what somebody has to decide. Martin.
Yeah, and if I can give another reason why we should cancel it. Now, if we need advice from personnel or any organisation, we can go and get it.
Right.
We don't need to retain someone on £120 a month just in case we need that advice. Okay. That locks you in, which actually you might want to go to 2 people for advice. Right. Not everyone gives the same advice, so it's not contradicting the benefit of it. It's the fact that it's a retainer which hasn't been authorised by this council. Richard says it's been beneficial. He's pointed out, sorry, am I allowed to call you Richard in these? He's pointed out 2 points in there which we will use as a council this month. But I believe if I don't want to put words into his mouth, that it doesn't need to be retained.
I'm sorry, you have put words into my mouth. I believe that this agreement was entirely entered into because the council needed advice on my absence. So I'm not prepared to say anything.
No. And in that fact, right, I'm going to stop it there. Stop it there. We're not talking about why it was created. We're talking about the fact that how it came to be created. It came to be created because it wasn't authorised by council.
Do you
it
want
was
to
authorised
propose?
by councillors. Okay? No, wait one moment. Michael wanted to say something.
Well, it is important that all reasonable steps are taken to protect the council at any one stage from whatever risk or threat there may be listed here.
Yes.
And therefore it is rather germane whether anything is in place or not.
Right.
Or,
yes.
or whether you feel that you're going to seek advice on an ad hoc basis.
Right. I get that. And we have put policies and procedures in place. Let me get this in context. The reason this has come up as an agenda item is that this procedure, which was HR advice, it could have been paying for the contract of the Christmas lights, but on this occasion it was for paying for HR advice. Forget about discrimination or forget about sickness, all of that. The actual agenda item, because we need to stay focused on what this is about, it's not about what we've authorised, it's how we've authorised it.
Yes.
2 councillors have agreed for something to be done without council resolution. We're paying £100 a month. The reason it's come is that council needs to decide, does it want to stop having this HR advice? In other words, does it want to stop having lights? That is what it's about. We can then look through policies and procedures on a way that we can get HR advice. In actual fact, the error on this was made that even though the clerk was off, the councillors that requested this service be paid for, HR advice, which is important and we need it to protect our staff, could have been authorised by the assistant clerk. So it's a procedural error that we're trying to correct. Not getting support, not getting advice, it's a procedural error.
I don't
So,
fully see why doing something now, it was done and therefore you can't correct it.
no, well, we're not looking at correcting. We can't take the £200 back and give the advice back. But what we're saying is that do we want to stop paying the £100 a month because this was unauthorised, and then at a later date a proper agenda item is brought to the council where the council can then formally say we now want to pay for HR advice. It sounds a bit daft, but it's procedural matters. This is purely procedural. David, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
We can bring it back later.
Yeah.
Because £100, it's only £1,200 a year.
Yeah.
One session of advice would cost you that.
Yeah.
Well, you
So-
have to pay on top of that. That's
Okay.
just a retaining fee.
Yes. Okay. But the question is, the decision is to decide whether the agreement should be continued or terminated. Martin.
Can I make a proposal now?
Shoot.
We terminate this agreement from this evening, giving the 1 month's notice.
Okay. Thank you. Right, there's a proposal on the table from Martin Brooks, Councillor Martin Brooks, that this agreement is terminated with 1 month's notice. Seconded by Paul. All those in favour? 1, 2, 5. I'm in favour of it as well, then,
Thank you.
because it is a procedural mistake.
Yes.
Are you abstaining, Michael? Yeah. At some point, we might have, just going to talk out of shop slightly, at some point it might come back to council where the council decide that they want to have this HR advice and then the council will agree to pay for it. We never agreed. Right. So I'm sorry if I've not communicated that.
But I think they've been given an offer.
Oh, right. Yes, thank you. Just a moment. Just going to have Richard just wants to add a comment on him.
Yeah, there is a second bullet point there that you have to give 1 month's advice. The council is therefore going to be paying Personal Advice and Solutions Limited for another month. Okay. First page of their terms and conditions of service. We will produce and or update various things there. Recruitment, equal opportunities, all of these things. Some of those are going to be very, very, to use your word, Michael, germane to the council over the next few months with policies and procedures. What I'm really asking is that the council is paying for it, so we might as well use it. And I would like to talk to them and say, certainly I've listed 5 there. Equal opportunities, as Vince said, is a very big thing, and actually the council does need one of these, an anti-harassment policy. It hasn't got an anti-harassment policy. Sickness management procedures, let's be honest, is a very, very hot topic with what's been going on. Disciplinary and grievance, again, the council does have these in place, but they haven't been looked at for a while and will be. But let's get some external
We're-
input from these people who are.
We're paying for a month of it, so basically make the decision that we decide whether to authorise the clerk to get the information.
But let's talk to them and say, well, you know.
Yeah, Martin was going to say something and then Michael was going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say what the clerk was saying there was what I was trying to say in my muddled way and said wrong earlier.
Okay, Michael.
Well, in a way, you're painting a picture so that this is cancelled, and then within a month we reinstate it.
Well,
The same people, a new contract, this time approved
Approved
properly.
by the whole council rather than its own.
But with the same people.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Well, possibly. I mean, all I'm asking is that this meeting authorises me to do it, so that let's see what the quality of information we get, and then the council will say we have this information, this is what we got from them.
Yeah.
Does the council want to use them in the future?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So, do we need a proposal?
Yeah,
Let's have a
I'd like
proposal
that.
then to decide. Proposal that the clerk is authorised to seek PAS's advice on matters pertaining and relevant to the council. Is that proposal right?
Within the month.
Within, yeah, we got a month of paid service that we need to take advantage of. So
I propose it as it's written.
proposed as written by Martin, seconded by David. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Use it or lose it, as they say. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Every time I have conversation across there, I get it in. I can take these out.
Okay, item 17 is the schedule of payments. Decide whether to approve the schedule of payments for the period of May the 1st, 2015 to the May the 31st, 2015. Any questions? Martin.
Yes, I just wanted to point out, Mr Blanksbury brought up contracts, and item number 13, I'd just like to point out to members that the cost of cleaning the toilets costs twice as much as the assistant clerk, and I was wondering when the contract's going to come up so that can be reviewed. And we'll obviously can't answer that now, but...
okay, it's a point that we will go to.
And then item number 46, £32.63 for cable ties. I used to work in hardware and DIY. It seems to go up, and just wondered what they were being used for, those ones. And it seemed minor, but...
I don't know.
And the other one was item number 47. I wanted to point out, because we were talking about it at the other meeting, how we get charged for everything, but we seem to allow RCC to use our park for free because we're nice. They've charged us £140 to use the museum for the reception on Sunday, so it was just a point to make members aware that we do get charged, and sometimes a lot more for some things from them.
I can explain the museum one if you'd like. The museum, the parks that we let people use for free, usually it's because it's for charitable things and it costs us nothing. Things like the museum, and even when we've used upstairs here, they have to pay staff to be there, so they incur expense. So that is in simple terms. So it can be a bit frustrating, but there's they've got to pay for the staff, and it is on a Sunday as well, and it is for a really good cause.
And you've got to have a steward there.
Any questions on that? If not, then looking for somebody to approve the scheduled payments proposal by Vic, seconded by Joyce. All those in favour? Martin, are you?
Yes.
Unanimous? Thank you. That was the schedule of payments, wasn't it?
Yeah.
One that we just looked at, is that right?
Yeah.
And then it's the statement of accounts. Any questions? Martin, sorry, yes, I was looking at.
Just one question, which I've obviously discussed this or emailed with the clerk earlier. We won't mention names of organisations, but a cheque was bounced on the council. A small amount of money was charged by the HSBC, and the clerk asked if I would ask members whether they think that the public money that was given to the bank should be recouped, I think is the word we would use, from the person who bounced the cheque on us.
Okay, valid point. I believe I'm aware of this. Only because I've spoken to the clerk about it. I mean, an honest mistake, not deliberate, and for the sake of what, £2.70 in charges? £4 of charges.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we put a stamp on it, it costs us 80 pence a cash cheque. The net gain for the town council will probably be about, I'd say, about £2.70. It is Oakham Home Gardens and Allotment Society. It was a mistake with their mandate. It wasn't a deliberate mistake. If members do want me to, then I will invoice them for the £4.
No, I'll give you that.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, we had damage to a notice board once and nobody chased that one. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, let's so decide whether to approve the statement of accounts and leave it is. So, proposal by Joyce was that?
Yeah.
Seconded by David. All those in favour?
Yeah.
Martin?
I'm abstaining because I wasn't on the council.
Any? No, we don't have any other business, do we? Sorry, I thought
No,
right, okay, if there's nothing else, I'm going to say that it's now 8:27
Yes.
and the meeting's closed.
Too late for
If everyone wants to hang on